Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I'm with Marshall,
Matt,
Mercy Lewis,
Metal Marty,
Evan, known as Big Pink,
Big Pink,
Josh,
Shred God, and you guys are part of the
Marshall Law Band.
Oh,
hell yeah! There we go.
Clean, made for this.
Nailed it.
All black and proud. Say it now, say it loud. Heavy is my crown. All black and proud. All black and proud.
What's going on, family?
up,
How you
man?
doing, man? Thanks
Hell
for
yeah.
pulling up on us.
For sure.
Yeah, we're making a habit out of us. It was nice to see you this weekend.
Yes. So last time I talked to you was a few months ago, and Chaz and Chop had just been taken down, and you were saying that you were about to go on like an artist retreat to do some new projects. Did that still happen? And is this one of the projects that happened from the artist retreat?
Yeah, this was the artist retreat. It wasn't really an artist retreat. It was all of us that were out there at Chop playing, and prior to Chop playing, and we got away to Guimas Island for 4 days. And just bonded, and I think 10 out of the 12 songs you hear were written about our experiences at Guimas Island and solidified at Guimas Island. And yeah, we came right back and recorded the album. It was insane, man.
Like when he says right back, he means like right back. Like we checked out of the Airbnb by 10 and then hit the ferry plus the drive and just went straight to the studio. We didn't even go home. And we just went to the studio and unloaded the gear that we just packed up at this retreat.
Oh shit.
Unloaded it straight to the studio, mic'd it up, got it ready.
After 4 days of big kicking, big locked in, just like
Writing.
probably Captain Jack, the producer, he looked at us like, y'all look haggard.
Like, what are you guys about to do in here? And then he heard us play and he was like,
Well,
oh.
we hammered out like four bases of a song, instrumental bases of a song, and some lyrics we actually, kept in the first day, I think, and for the next day, and then knocked out
2 and 2.
2 and 2 or something like that. Yeah.
Wait, so it says Guimas Island?
Yeah, Guimas Island. You ever been up there?
Where the heck is that?
Oh man, they got orcas.
Is this the San Juan Islands?
No, we just went up to Anacortes.
Okay.
And then it's like a 8-minute ferry, not even 8 minutes, maybe
That's a quick little-
5-minute ferry ride.
Just
Damn.
right
Just a
across.
boop, boop.
Damn. When did you guys decide to go there then?
We're just trying to find an Airbnb. Like, we're a big band, so we were trying to find a place that was like could hold a big band. And we looked and we found one. We either wanted to be by the water or like out in the woods in the mountains. And we found one of each, and the one in the mountains was occupied for the weekend, and then we went with the other
It
one.
worked out then.
Worked
Yeah,
out great. We saw some orca whales early in the morning.
it was beautiful, right there on the beach.
So what compelled you guys to write this specific album with the theme that happened throughout the whole entire album?
What
Everything.
compelled us being there?
Everything that was going on, yeah, everything we went through, when people look at the protest, yeah, we were musicians, but we weren't spectators, we were participants. And we were working in conjunction with the medics, with the security, with the support
local
staff.
venue owners around. the block.
Everybody that's getting Nutrigrain bars to people and has saline ready for everybody. We really worked with a community while we were there, and this album came from the experiences of a collective community, and none of us could have predicted what happened from those 6 days we had prior towards Chop being a thing, and all the traumas and flashbangs and threats of Proud Boys and automatic weapons and people getting shot like Dan Gregory and
Chemical weapons,
all types
less
of-
lethal munitions. Those are like direct quotes from the police. I'm like,
that are
you're
on
gonna-
this.
You're gonna use chemical weapons and less lethal munitions?
I would've led with
you
the
as
less
opposed to
mu-
it's gonna guaranteed to kill you. I mean,
So,
why?
It's
Why
from that.
Why are you doing that with my tax money?
it's from all this stuff that we're tired of, the world being, we're fed up with it. It's time for something to change, and the revolution is upon us. And so we wanted to apply our art, our music to what we literally saw with our own eyes and experienced with a group of people here in Seattle doing something that was marveled all around the world. It's
I'm trying
crazy.
to remind people that revolution doesn't mean bad thing. Like, people have a really quick connotation to the word revolution and it being something bad. Like, wheels revolve. We as a culture are revolving. So if we can't learn from our past mistakes, we're just going to keep doing it and be stuck in the loop. We have to see what we've done, learn from it, and then change to make a better future. And that's what we're trying to show people, is that everybody has a role in this. When people say, oh, I don't do that, I don't want to do that, I don't feel 100% that way, that's fine. We're not all going to feel the same way. We got a 10-person band, bro. We don't feel the same way about what's for dinner. But we respect each other, and we know that we got to do this together, so we find a way to work through it. And if we can do it and show that we can do that and grow that, you know, maybe it just gives people a little bit of hope and reminder that we're all going to be neighbors when the dust settles.
Well, I hate that the saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same, is so relevant right now, you know, like, especially in Seattle with the, you know, in 1999, the WTO protests. Different context of why they happened, but how they ended up exactly is what happened in Chaz and Chop.
Yeah, and honestly, I've heard about that and whatnot. I wasn't as tapped into the history. You know, I knew that we had a strong history here in Seattle, but I didn't really understand that, like, an Occupy was something that could be a direct result of a protest. I was a little naive myself in that, and no one was running around like communicating like, hey, if the police were to leave, we're just not gonna leave, we're gonna stay here. So at the time, we were really just rallied around the 3 demands, and it was really fresh and new. Now what you hear on this album is that honest self-reflection talk of like, wow, we were just a part of something that we ourselves maybe didn't understand. Everybody's head was spinning, but all we knew was to play our instruments and provide the type of leadership we can through our art and through our music. And that's what we did. But that didn't mean we were perfect during that. So this album is kind of the soul wash of, hey, this is what we've been through. Now the moves that you see moving forward, I think that we move like a lot more calculated and in solidarity with the movement, and communicate that and communicate with the people within the movement even better now. You know, it was beautiful on the 150th day of straight protests in Seattle. You know, we were invited and worked in conjunction with 4 different daily protest marches that came together and said, yeah, let's get the boys in here to play for the troops, boys and girls now, you know, to come out here and play for the troops. So it's been a whole process and a coming of understanding, and it's nowhere near finished, because in revolution and in whatever you do when you're trying to make a change, you got to be smooth, you got to be like water, you got to be willing to do some self-reflection and some growth and some accountability checks, and you hear that in the lyrics and in the way we play, like we're figuring stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think you guys as a band would have changed how you went forward if you guys had did the research on WTO?
I think we went out there because we believe that people need to be treated fairly and with respect and value. And if you have a hard time getting behind that, that's a whole nother conversation we need to have. But when it really boils down to it, that's why you saw people of every race, color, creed, religion out there, because this is not about a single person. It's about the way that people are being treated, and especially black people are highlighted in that targeted demographic. But it's people. We see these stories and we show a video of a cop killing a black man and everybody gets rallied behind it. We should be rallied behind them killing Mexican people, Chinese people, white people, Indian people. Like, everybody needs to understand that these people work for us to serve and protect and keep us safe. But they're showing up after crimes happen and they're shooting people. That wasn't in the job description.
Chill out. Like, whatever they're responding to has already occurred. So to go in there like guns blazing with that type of just off the rip like stance towards it, I think is what's causing a lot of the problems. So again, what we try to do through our music is connect people, wake people up, like spiritually, say, hey, you know, you can be a human being. Like Dan Gregory said, you know, whatever you do, be a human first. Be a human before your teacher. Be a human before your police officer. And then from there, if everybody just calmed down a bit, I think a lot of these problems could be resolved. And I think, Matt, you're so right. Like, bruh, it doesn't matter what color you are. Let's just take the color out of it. Police need to stop killing people. It's not working if that's happening. You look at other countries, they got other ways of doing it. And if someone's brandishing a weapon all crazy, then let's talk. But this is ridiculous, you know?
So what are you guys looking for to change? Is it police reform exactly, or?
I think that's where we start, right? And that's what the whole defund movement is about. And, you know, people get caught up in semantics about it, but here's the thing. Because of what we just talked about, because that the police are doing more harm than good, especially in specific places, we need to restructure what they receive and give it to the communities that have been most harmed by the consistent damage that they have done through generations, right? Mm-hmm. So once that is rectified, now there's a lot of other things in society that pressure isn't on, and you can see what Black innovation is capable of doing. Imagine if we didn't have this pressure on us in society. If I could just wake up and know that I'm not going to get killed by a police officer or be oppressed or profiled, well, you think I have good ideas now? You know how many floats I'll come up with if I didn't have to worry about getting killed by the police? And that's what we're trying to say. Get your foot off our neck, get your knee off our neck, figuratively and literally, and let us breathe as a society. And now some healing can take place. But that's got to start at the police thing first. So for me, that's the first thing. And then, I'm a love guy. I want to see the whole revolution. I'm trying to see everybody come together, unity. Like we believe we're walking in the footsteps of some musicians that preach some real powerful message of coming together and loving each other.
And I think that everybody gets, like he said, hung up on defund, and so we actually started another little artistic way of approaching it, and it's called the Power of Positive Drinking. And it's Marshall and I sharing drinks with people who come from different backgrounds and have different opinions than we do. And if I can say something that enlightens you and makes you say, you have to drink. And every time we do it, the other people seem to get a little drunk.
They be drunk as well.
But that's great. That's great because it opens us as well. It's a two-way street. So we learned that instead of saying, if I was to not say defund the police and I was saying, let's reallocate half the police budget to education.
Words matter, that's...
Everybody gets behind it. I'm saying the exact same thing and I have the exact same intention with it. But if I am to change the way I phrase it, I mean, God bless the thesaurus, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can say the same thing a multitude of ways and be more effective. And I think that it's something I learned as a drummer, watching him and J-Mo the Bird and Chris King and Shamel and Nobi just walk around. That's how all these lyricists, they just walk. They just walk and walk
and walk. Get my steps in.
Hit the typewriter, hit the text message, however, but they refine their lyrics because the message can come off the rip. All these people could sing right now, sing a song right now off the soul. Boom, comes out. But for them to have the time to refine it and really dial it in, that's what makes them strong, powerful lyricists, and it speaks to volumes of people because it's taking that defund statement because we are very fervent that we need to defund these people who have so much money that they can be dropping smoke bombs on the ground and throwing them at people who pay them and are unarmed. If they got that kind of money, then we need to be funding our education system. My mom's a teacher. She still pays for school supplies out of her own pocket. We got to fix something here.
So I don't think people realize how you go about defunding or reallocating the funds, though. I don't think you can just wake up the next morning and being the police chief or whatever and being like, okay, we're going to give the money over to the school district. How do you guys understand how you go about reallocating?
Big shout out to Converge Media. Big shout out to community leaders. Like, if you want to tap in, you can learn, There are steps that are in place, and the city council themselves have, almost overplayed their hand in some senses based on the amount of power they do have. But the people that are within the community running this, Nikita Oliver, Y King, the Decrypt Seattle people, the Equity Now people, they understand what's going on, and there's a whole checklist that you have to break down. You had to get a victory here, and then you have to get a victory here, and there's no confusion amongst the people that actually have the education and the background within the community of how to accomplish the step-by-step process. It may take 3 years. It may take 4 years. I don't think any of them that are actually in activism work think this is going to be an overnight thing. It's the public that gets swayed, and then what happens is a lot of people are excited about this, and the people at power, whether it be the mayor or governor, however it may be on the local politics level, they are able to use fancy politic jargon, create committees and these type of things to kind of subdue the public into thinking change is happening without dealing with the direct people that have the knowledge and they know they should be talking to. Jenny Durkin ran against Nikita Oliver. She knows that Nikita Oliver is somebody that if she's not passing off on that checklist and committee, then you're not representing the community like we know it should be represented. Nikita's one of hundreds of leaders that have been doing this work in Seattle for decades. A lot of people are getting handpicked and aren't going to have that type of resistance that it takes and that wherewithal to not get tricked along the process. This is a very confusing thing. If I'm in there debating with Jenny Durkin about how laws are going to be made, I'm going to mess up because I'm not. You want me to get you a bar, I'll make you a slap. Anything else, that's not my job. But let's bring in the people who is their job and they have the background in it to make the decisions. So I don't think anybody that's a real activist and knows what's going on thinks this is going to be snapping overnight. But it's just the swirl and they try to trick you with all this jargon stuff. You know, we can cut right through that. It's the same thing, like you said. They try to trick you with the same thing. Politicians, it's not going to work this time, though. Because the power's in the people this time, so
For sure. So
it's over with.
It's mostly the public just like listening to the news and then getting confused by them, you feel like?
That's what our whole first track's about,
Real
brother.
news.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. So individually, what does this album mean to you? I'll start with you, Marshall.
Man, it's the first thing I got tatted on me in 10 years, you feel me? 12th and Pine, like, for real, like, it means everything to me. It was the culmination of years and years of work individually as well as collectively as the martial law band from every single member, and they brought their entire soul to the table and all of their creative talents, and they didn't put bounds on themselves. I remember when we were at Guimas Island, before we started like the process, like everybody, you know, they call me coach because I'm a basketball coach. So like, you know, I'll be huddling up the squad, like, all right, everybody be quiet. You know, if somebody talks, I'll be like, hey, bro, you know, don't. So we brought it in and they let me give a little speech, and I can't remember it specifically, but, you know, what I just kind of, the synopsis of it was we were on CNN. We inspired thousands of people. We've endured more than we ever thought we could. Let's not limit ourselves going into this creative process. And this is the album that came out of us accepting that we have something to say and it does have value and it can get out there and affect people in a positive way. So say it right and play it right. And that was just such a powerful experience to be able to go execute it and then have it encapsulated. We knew we had something special with it, and then now we're following it up with visuals, with high quality interviews with people that are invested in our music. Like, we just were on KXP for the first time today,
yeah.
Which is a huge Seattle moment for anybody. Like, this album's already changed my life in so many ways, and I can't wait to see what the whole squad does with it. And it's changed everything, and I'm just happy it's inspiring people.
For me, it sets a standard of professional efficiency. It's been 152 days now since the protest started for George Floyd. In that 152 days, we spent a week out at the protest, plus a day we went the first day to go just experience it and see what was happening. Then after seeing Omari pepper sprayed on live and saying, where are the leaders at?
Can you break it down who Omari is for fans who might not, or the audience who might not know who he
Omari
is?
Salisbury, man. You want to give him his
Shout out
roses?
Omari, the big O. Okay, Omari is reinventing what independent media looks like, and by the way, is black owned. So what Omari did, and the way he told it when we were on the story, he said, y'all didn't know what to do, so you played music. I didn't know what to do, so I grabbed my phone. I went right to the front lines to film what was going on. And his live streams would get up to 12,000 people sometimes tapping in what's going on in Seattle, you know, what's happening on the front line. So actually, if you listen to the album on the 12th track, the last and final track called Cleos, you'll hear like an audio clip from Chop with the flashbangs going off. That's ripped from Omari's live stream there on the front line. So Omari has kind of, on his personal Facebook now. This isn't like his Facebook page. He has 12,000 people on that. You know, not 12,000 people watch the news even. So for him to be able to rack those numbers and then create a business off of it, it shows like a great piece of black innovation. So Amari was the reason that got me, like we seen him just like, where are the leaders? Pepper sprayed for the third straight day. And I felt like he was talking like directly to me. I was just sitting in my bed like, you know, I don't know what I can do, but I know like I make good music with the homies. If we go out there with this music and we really spread love like we always do, the world can hear this message of love, because I'm seeing it get broadcasted by Amari asking for help. So the next day we pulled up, and a lot of other people answered that call as well. And that's what created that atmosphere. And, you know, just working on, you look at it and it looks like this flashbang stuff, but again, it's years and years worth of community. And Amari had been working in media for decades and hadn't had his big break yet, hadn't gotten his respect yet. Now this man's gonna get a Pulitzer, man, on everything, and he deserved that. So, you know, we put him on the back and just let him say what he wanted, and he just gave us a testimonial of like what he felt when the last night happened, where there was flashbangs, rubber bullets going off, and people were running at us like, yo, get off the stage, like they're not gonna stop. We're like, we're not gonna stop either.
We really can't go nowhere fast. Like, we got drums set up, we got a sound system,
We're
we got
there,
a stage.
buddy.
Like, we ain't going nowhere quick, brother.
Planted.
I would love to, but it's not happening.
So yeah, pick up where you left off.
So after the 152 days, I'm sitting here with the CD in my hand, thinking about it, and I was riding around when we first got them, thinking about the fact that we experienced a week of trauma after seeing it. Then we went away, poured our soul into it. Then we went to studio, poured that out, which is not easy work for anybody who records music, they know. Then, once you get that done, there's mixing and mastering, and then edits, and then more edits, and then another set of edits, and then one more final set of edits.
Independent, by the way.
You got to get it printed, and then you got to get it back, and then once you have it in your hand, you got to figure out what to do with it. And we did all of that as a broke, independent band in the middle of a pandemic.
Hell yeah.
If we can do this
Come
and bring
on.
this to the world, and it's on the radio today in 152 days, then with a federal budget, you should be able to do better in 152 days than we've accomplished. And it just really signified for me what we're saying right here in this picture, is that we made our stand, and people look back, you know, what would we have done in the Million Man March? Like, where would we have been if Martin Luther King was in, you know, giving his speeches? And when push came to shove, if you were out there, you were one of those people who came from the ancestors of people who were out there. And if not, you know, you need to just look in the mirror, bro, and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Another time's coming. I bet you that. And that's what's so beautiful about the movement. You can decide tomorrow, oh, I'm in here. And you'd be surprised what you're able to accomplish. I mean, a lot of people don't know. They think we're just playing music. He actually had to stop me from doing this on the fourth day because we were trying to get a bunch of other musicians to come out. We could only get Shamel and Nobi and Pobox to come to be vocalists. Then Ferry Von Mother, Just Nas, Kaya, all these people that you see with us now and featured on the album, they came out. But, you know, Maya Marie and Shamel were the only like singers that came out with us while we were out there. So we're doing like 4 days in a row.
Him and the Bird and Poe are cooked.
I can't even, like my stuff is kind of sore now from 3 straight days after, and we've been doing, you know, 2-hour sets. We were out here doing 4-hour sets. So with that being said, man, it really, wait, what was I talking about before that? You know, I hit the weed. Now I'm like, what the hell? No, with Maya Marie and getting the artist out.
No one else came.
Yeah, I know that, but I was, what were, I mean,
Do you think it was because of the COVID though, or they just didn't believe in the movement?
no,
at the
you're gonna
time?
get another time, okay, for moments to come. You know what I mean? I think it's everything. It was, we didn't know what was left, what was up, what was right from it, but our voices were just honestly cooked, and we were just out there begging for people to come help us, but we had to go up on our own. So this is, I remember now. I remember what I was talking about. So people don't know what we're doing in between, and the reason why our voice is also cooked. I'm not just performing for 4 hours. I'm jumping off stage. There's like some crazy clash with the police officers and stuff, and they're like, hey, there's a problem at the eastern barricade, because up here there's one over here too. So I'm running over here, and I'm talking to the people with no megaphone, voice ripped up, yelling, hey, everybody breathe, you know, let's try a different tactic. I'm like, you're over here, you're not even on the main barricade. Your main job is just to sit here and make sure the police officers don't flank us from the back. right? Because they're holding line, so the officers can't just come down and arrest whoever or do whatever. But that was getting hostile, but they don't have the same numbers as right over here on Western Barricade, right? So I'm over there running, so I have everybody sit down. Everybody sat down with me, and I'm just like, all right, everybody breathe in. Like, you've been fighting for, like, 5 straight hours at this point. Your legs are probably tired. Like, let's stretch it out. Just showing people, like, yo, there's different ways to do this. But the thing is, I was also running in, bringing waters into the middle of the main thing, yelling at people, trying to convert people to, like, yo, let's try to go about this tactfully, at the time. But people weren't trying to hear it. Some pockets would. So I was also, like, running around, Matt's breaking up fights.
Being a leader.
Yeah, like, really on the ground, general type stuff. Moving barricades, setting stuff up. The bike brigade and us are communicating. We're all communicating with the security, like, going through way more than just being on the stage. And
my cousin, J-Mo, Pobox, they all stayed after our sets. They were like, yo, I can't sing. My voice is cooked, so I'll stay and I'll do security. So they were the nighttime security team.
Some big boys.
Big boys. I'm telling you, we got big man, bro. I mean that in every sense of the word.
Them boys big, So, man, we've been through everything. We didn't even really speak on those type of things on the album because, I don't know, they just didn't come up, I guess. To be honest, I don't know. I haven't really talked about some of this stuff. So I just like kind of half remembered it. I'm like, wow.
Dude, that last we did this is our second interview since the album came out, and the last one, at the end of it, I realized, like, yo, I might need to talk to somebody. I think I'm kind of traumatized.
Yeah,
I bet.
Seriously, no, thank you for these. These are super, like, cathartic in a lot of ways, because I feel like, as men, especially black men, very rarely do you just have somebody like, well, just tell me how.
Forget counseling.
Exactly. Like, that's how they be trying to make you, like, at least feel and look at. But I feel like I'm so blessed, one, to have these type of experiences, but also to have a support system where, like, anyone in the band, anybody around me, I feel comfortable going to and be like, yo, I'm messed up because of this, like, and really talk it out. That was a big part of the retreat, Some people hit me and they be like, yo, I cried listening to this album. I'm like, we cried making it. We definitely cried making it multiple times. J-Mo the Bird was singing Don't Wanna Die.
Don't Wanna Die.
And that experience comes from that whole song. J-Mo the Bird brought that concept to the table and worked on it because he had a good friend of his pass at the hands of the police. And the story seems weird, and if you listen to J-Mo's verse, you can hear kind of what's happening.
And J-Mo is another local Seattle artist, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
J-Mo
the Bird. He's in the MLB, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, it started with just the core 6 of us that you see on the cover, but everyone that's credited is like family members. We work together and we do whatever we can to help each other out. So J-Mo's, when he was making that, he was singing it. We were all playing, and you could just hear J-Mo's strong voice. It was still super strong, but it was cracking a little bit. We're like, wow, like, J-Mo's crying.
He's singing it from a place of, like,
pain,
sincere pain and fear.
That made me cry. I look around, everybody's crying, and that's why we're making the song. So if you listen to Don't Wanna Die, it comes right after Ferry Von Mother's speech, and it hits so hard with Matt just
hammering it,
smashing it in, like, what do we have to do to get this point across? Because it comes from, like, from pain we all felt, firsthand, but also secondhand,
So I asked you guys what the album meant to you now. What are your goals with the album? I'll start with you, Matt.
Man, I'm trying to get this played in outer space, man. I'm trying to get it so the astronauts are slapping this, because I think everybody needs it. I think it's after pouring so much of our soul and experiences into something that is formed out of love and meant to inspire and bring hope. I mean, A New Hopes would save the galaxy.
I have that in my room at the poster.
So,
What about you, Marshall?
They gotta slap it in Antarctica. Our cameraman OD, he's got some plugs out there. He's actually from out there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I need that banging in Antarctica for sure. I really need it going. They said BLM is going up in India right now. They said they're knocking it. They got
numbers are going crazy.
Go crazy in
overnight
India. Like,
Damn.
We haven't even, because like right now we're trying to set up our ad system. We're trying to get clean. You know, all this is happening fast, you know? So we don't really start up our Spotify ads till November 1st.
Oh, shit.
So something is happening in India where like somebody hit him and I don't know.
Somebody
like,
heard
you know,
our music and
it's-
put it on somewhere in India, and they're rocking with it.
It's going dummy. And
yeah.
so, you know, once we really put like the ads and stuff behind it, it's going to be interesting to see how other like cultures respond to it. One thing that the producer, engineer, the guy who mixed, mastered it, and, you know, co-produced it with us, Jack and Dino, said is that in Portugal, in the place where he, you know, got his Grammy, I believe it was Portugal, right? Brazil, you know, the grunge music and rock music, the era of music that he worked on, that was kind of seen as revolutionary music during the time because it was during their revolution. So I'm interested to see when we put this music in other places that are standing up right now, how they view it. Like, yo, this is from Seattle, this is from Chile, like this is revolution music. And I'm like, I wanted to bang it, you know, Paraguay, you know, play that thing in Istanbul, play it everywhere and
Nigeria,
see what
man,
they do, man, you
shit's
know?
going down right
China, like I need it everywhere. So I want it on this earth. I'm gonna start on this earth. I think Matt can handle the space real estate, and Dustin will get it to Antarctica.
Are you hoping police officers or any politicians hear this album at all?
Absolutely.
We address them
personally.
directly.
Yeah. I hope
Personally
they hear
and
it.
directly. Yeah, we
Come
for
on,
sure.
Governor, Mayor, I need y'all to slap this. It's music for them
Gregory,
too. You know?
Mr. Officer, I know you're listening.
Police chief?
I know you're listening.
I know you listening.
For sure.
So yeah, we need them to hear this because, you know, believe it or not. So here's another story. I go over there, it's getting hostile, it's crazy because it's early on. It might be 2 p.m. and it's getting gnarly. I pull up because they're like, yo, it's getting ugly. They'll come get me off the stage. I'm like, oh, God, dang, all right. So, boom, I run over there and it's just getting, again, hairy. People are pushing the fence back and the police are getting ready, but we don't have the numbers over there. It doesn't make any sense because there's only 60, 70 people. There's probably more cops than National Guard. So I just kind of like, hey, everybody, you know, and people had seen me and stuff. This is day 3 or 4 of CHOP. So, you know, like people like, oh, Marshall's like, that's Marshall, what's up? You know, like that was also another part of the talk. And I'd always have to say, you know, hello. So my voice is just killing me. But I'm like, all right, I'll be like digging deep as I can in my diaphragm because that's what Chris King tried to teach me, you know, and I'm just like, yo, they don't want to kill anybody, you feel me? Those are humans over there. They don't want to kill and hurt anybody in this situation right now. Let's be smart. Know that no matter, even if they're on the wrong side right now, eventually we're trying to make a better world for their kids too, and they're going to benefit from our fight. So don't do anything that's going to get yourself or make them do something that they're all going to regret because we're going to be on the right side of history. And I'm telling you, it was dead silent. I'm yelling like, and people were like, yeah, you know, they were hype over there, and like some cops were like, yeah. And then one cop, you know, I'm not co-signing this. He's like, hey, this guy gets it. And I was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is it. But you could tell it was sincere, you feel me? You could tell that there is some human capacity over there. It's just the job that they have does not allow them,
And the stereotypes and everything that goes into
it
being
just
part of
does not allow them to do what they are being asked to do, and it's not working, and it's also racist on top of all that. The ones who aren't racist are fighting such an uphill battle, and they're so hampered by the system that it doesn't
And we
seem...
appreciate you.
And we appreciate
But-
you. We got to change it.
I know a lot of people will find you another job.
I'm telling you, we can make your job better for you, you know, and that's why police officers are quitting. They're like, oh, this sucks. This is not what I want, to be hated. But it's not working, and we don't want it anymore. It's more a failure of the system than it is an indictment on the individual, in my opinion, especially when it comes to someone like Chief Best, Carmen Best. You know, I know of the Best family because of the community and basketball and all this. I have other friends that have police officers as their mothers that I care about and know deeply. So
I got cousins who are
I feel
police
it's not an
officers.
indictment on a black person or any person with a pure heart in the system, but the system itself is not working and it needs to be restructured. So as great as somebody can be in that role, how great can you really be in a role that forces you to systematically oppress black brown and indigenous people. That's my question, and that's my stance on it. But I don't want to rip people up for it. I want to
have a conversation with
have
them.
a conversation, lead them to that through our music and through our compassion for their plight as a human that also has a family to feed and has put their life into a career. You know what I mean? There's people that are lifelong mechanics or whatever that you could never get to switch their career because that's what they do. Some of these people is like, what else do you want me to do? This is how I feel special. And so I think we're dealing with more of the mental psyche and trying to do some of the spiritual work and the healing work where our stance is clear. We're screaming Black Lives Matter over and over again. We're telling politicians they're the reason they call pain, but we're doing it with a sonic bed so that hopefully somebody will listen and try something different.
Jimi Hendrix said you lure him in with the music and then you can tell him anything you want.
Hell yeah. So let's break down a few of these songs on this album, 12th and Pine.
Let's do it. Dun, dun, dun.
Wait, question for you first.
Hell yeah.
What was your favorite song off the album?
Fuck. That's a hard one. I liked Vibes a lot because there's so much pressure when you're listening to the album and you're like, this is a vibe check, and you just calm down.
Groovy, brother. Boy, groovy. I can tell by the hair, boy, groovy.
Of course, Black and Proud too.
Yeah.
Especially the music video is blowing up on YouTube.
It's going crazy right now.
I love
It's going
it.
crazy right
It's
now.
great.
Bro.
The first song I want to talk about is 13%. It's a very deep song, and when you guys were talking earlier about the whole album, you want every race, every ethnicity, sex, gender, whatever, to be listening to this. And I feel like how she opens up the artist, she's an artist, right? Von Mother?
She's everything. She's a
Everything.
personality. She's a mother.
Fairy Von
She's
Mother.
just a fairy Von Mother. She is what her name is, Fairy Von Mother. She's like a staple in the community here, a radio personality, a life coach. But what she really is a mother to so many young people in the creative scene in such a beautiful way, especially a creative, athletic, especially black men and black women and just people of color, and letting them know like you're seen, you're heard,
And
I
appreciated.
understand your plight. I can't tell you how many times I look over to the right and one of my friends that just randomly came to a show or whatever, or hopped on the Jelly Bean, you know,
The Jelly Bean's their float, by the way. We'll
yeah,
get
the
into that
SS
later.
Jelly Bean. That's our
That's our
float.
mobile stage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, I look over and Von Mother's talking to them and looking at them right in their eyes and so engaged and really hearing like why they are having some difficulties in getting to where they're trying to go and where they're trying to accomplish. And she's listening hard, no matter if this person's going to go to the NBA or is on the SS Jelly Bean playing music, or a random person she just met that day. She takes the time to care. And she came out there with us at CHOP and lended her voice to the movement and moved thousands of people in the street. So we felt it was only right that she got her chance to say whatever she wanted to say on the album. She pulled up and that's what she said.
Yeah. I definitely want your guys' input on the album because there are a few things that, on this 13%, because there's a few things that stood out to me. First thing, how she opened up saying she can't believe there's a world or there's a time or place where anyone would feel that another race isn't accepted or anything. But then you can look back.
Another person's life didn't matter.
or have value.
But then you can look at anything in history, slavery, Irish, Chinese. So I feel like it's kind of hard to hear that when there are instances like that happening.
But you got to look at the next line. She says, I can't imagine anyone was born thinking that way. So what she's really digging into is that
it's
you are a
taught
blank
and
slate,
learned.
right? You're a blank slate. But here in America, they are conditioned and taught. We ourselves are conditioned and taught to view black people as ignorant, as criminals, as uncivilized, as dangerous. And these are learned
As less
behaviors.
valuable.
So as a result of that, because of these behaviors being learned from birth and not in your nature, she forgives the ignorance that people who say all lives matter have, because they've been taught that. We weren't born that way. But you know what? And then she gets into the names. George Floyd, right? Go and you can. That's when you just feel the music changing. Their lives mattered. They were somebody's brother. They were somebody's sister. They were somebody's cousin. Their lives had significance. So understand that even though you've been taught differently, your life does not matter any more than the black people that you have been taught to look at as less. And that's what I got out of Fairy Von Mother's thing.
So how'd you come to know Marshall and the band?
So my uncle was doing a radio show. My uncle's a ex-Seahawk. He's an old guy, retired in 91. Was doing a radio show at Rainier Avenue Radio. And so I went and was a guest on the show. And I was like, Uncle Ed, hook me up. You already know I'm a show woman. I went to LA to be in the entertainment industry. Come on. Anyway, the guy who Tony, who runs Rainier Avenue Radio, we hit it off, and he was like, sure, you can have your show. Well, I don't know if you've heard of Gertie at Soaring Hawk Above. Well, he was my engineer. And so every time I go in, like, what'd you do this week? What'd you do all week? He was always like, I'm rolling with my boys, the Marshall Love Band. I'm hanging with, I was doing this, the Marshall. I was like, who are these guys you're always talking about? He's like, Vaughn, you would love these guys. You guys have the same energy. They're positive just like you. So he invited me to go to Splash Fest and get a ticket from those guys. They were watching a rapper Bally Kai rap at somewhere in Capitol Hill. And I decided to pop in. That's when I met Marshall and Matt. I bought the Splash Fest ticket from them. Splash Fest was on my birthday. They're like, you gotta come hang out with us for our birthday. And I love the vibe. I went to the award ceremony at the beach following, just to hang out and be supportive.
So let's break down the song you're featured on, 13%.
Yeah.
I went ahead and got Marshall and Matt's perspective on it, and I brought in my perspective too, because I've been showing this album to anyone and everyone that wants to listen,
Yeah.
And it just made me think about, is this a generalistic type song, or is this more of a specific perspective that isn't for everyone to relate to?
Well, no one's perspective is for everyone to relate to. That's just the fact. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have so much divisiveness just in our country alone. Again, I said I'm not a political person, but when you look at just how the political structure, how the two most dominant parties are completely against each other, and both are supposed to be for the people, both are supposed to have love for the betterment of the country, and yet their viewpoints are completely opposing. So it's just never realistic to expect everyone to agree or even understand any one perspective, no matter how right it may seem. Then we wouldn't have a rainbow. The rainbow would just be one color,
So when you start the song saying that you can't believe in people grow up believing other people don't matter, in a sense.
Yeah.
When I was talking to Marshall, I came to understand that you were saying basically there's no one born racist, but they can grow up being racist.
You got it, friend.
Okay.
Yeah. No one's born. Have you ever seen babies? Have you ever seen little kids at a playground just play? No one's concerned about color. No one's concerned about your height or your hair design. Kids just play. Kids are welcoming. They're open. And even before we're kids, when we're just babies, have you ever seen someone reach for a baby and the baby say, hey, buddy, don't pick me up. You're too dark. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I prefer you don't change my diaper because you're poor. Babies have no sense of who's doing what. The only thing that babies are concerned about is being taken care of, being looked out for, being loved, being nurtured, and babies accepted from anyone. There's no sense of labels at all. And so where that comes from is we're taught either by those who raise us or by what we see in society and the way, the images that we get in the magazines, on TV, in the news, everywhere. So it's absolutely learned behavior. And if it's learned, it can be unlearned. And that's something I truly believe.
For sure. What were your guys' thought process to focus this album heavily on like the black culture versus, tons of Asians have been getting slack for what's happening with them, like saying like the Kung flu or anything like that. So what was your process behind focusing just on the black culture versus other, even Indians, anyone who's been affected by this?
I mean, we mention everybody, you know what I'm saying? The journey's just begun. One day we'll all be one. We talk about the unity, but what we're representing and forged in is inexperience. I'm a black male as the leader, singer of this band. Master black male as a drummer. We've been rapping about I'm gonna need some answers, or I'm going Black Panther. They say my skin is like cancer because I could die at random. These are songs that don't even make the album that we wrote 3 or 4 years. So those are the plights that we understand as black men, and we're amplifying the message of black people rising up as an example of we're standing in solidarity with other people that are discriminated, but black people as the most marginalized and indigenous people in this society we live in, we are screaming our voices matter. And if you feel empowered by this, if you're willing to ride with us on this, then you too can change the world for the better, because your life is going to be significantly improved once the black and indigenous lives in this country are respected. That's not to diminish anybody else's plight, but that has to be ironed out because it's so systemically embedded in our education system, in our projected finances, in our life worth, that has to be resolved first. And so we stand in solidarity. And when you go out, especially in Seattle, there's only 7% black people, and that's not breaking down how many mixed race people. Look at us three, right? You know what I'm saying? So there might be 3% black people that aren't mixed race or predominantly mixed race in Seattle. We need people of all colors. And when you go out there, it's white people, it's Asian people, it's people of all colors that understand that message that I just said. And those are the people that you see out there 152 days in a row, because they understand the actual message of the BLM movement. Is to make sure those people are safe, and then we can make some corrections. And, it's a sacrifice, I think, that the educated sacrifice a lot of people are learning to accept as an activist in the movement. It's a black movement, and black voices should be centralized and leading this, because they're the ones who are sparking it up. And that's what's important. You can't allow people that aren't the ones actually doing it to be the voices of what's occurring. That's not right. So
I got lots of phone calls while we were out at the Chop asking, like, oh, are you guys okay? Like, I'm seeing this stuff on the news. It's not safe out there. You should go home. All these people who are in so much fear, and yet I was the one out there, and I didn't feel any more or less in danger than I do any other day when I leave my house as a black man. Like, I've been stopped so many times where I grew up that my mom started not believing me. My mom's a white woman. And she's like, you can't be getting pulled over this many times without doing something. I'm like, Mom, I swear to God, I haven't even got no tickets. Like, I'm not doing anything. And one time she was with me, and I stopped at a stop sign and turned, and this cop pulled me over, and she asked, why are you stopping my son? He's like, I was just making sure he knew where he was going and all this stuff. I'm like, yo, you're stopping me to make sure I know where I'm going? I've lived in this town for 15 years.
Maybe he wanted an autograph, no?
Like,
not yet. Now when we come back, we bring in the SS Jelly Bean having a float in his hometown.
Oh, yeah.
So it's something that people become distant from it. You see it in a movie, right? But you don't see it in real life. Unfortunately, one of our band members, who happens to be white, had to experience it, his first act of racism towards him, because him and I were playing, just the two of us, for taking a vocal break for these guys, and somebody walked by and had the audacity to call him out, saying that he shouldn't be speaking at a Black Lives Matter event because he's white, while simultaneously dismissing me as 50% of the band who was also singing. So you're so adamant about Black Lives Matter, and you want to make a stance against this white man who's out here with us, while simultaneously dismissing me as a fellow black man. Like, we have to respect each other. We have to see each other. We have to work together as a community. And if we can't do it amongst ourselves, how are we going to expect other people to respect us?
Right. So it's 13% song, and if people don't understand 13%, it probably talks about like the African American population in the United States, 13%. Am I right on that?
You are
Correct.
I think it was good to get your guys' perspective, because how I took it was it being very generalized when she was talking on this track. But I guess it makes more sense that it's more from your guys' perspective versus trying to get everyone's perspective on what's going on. So
yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to create art that makes people think. So if you formulated a different opinion, is opposite than ours, hey, that's all love too, because
Come
it's
sit
gonna,
down on another
you know
show,
what I'm saying? It's
Power
gonna,
Positive Drinking.
yeah, it's gonna push you to the next conclusion. It's gonna push you on your personal growth. When we make our main thing is like, we just want
To
a
inspire.
response. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go left, you're gonna go right, but you cannot remain neutral when you listen to this music. You have to put a foot in the ground and say, I'm either here or I'm there. And that feeling is very liberating, because you're standing in your truth, even if it's just momentarily, because we're always ever changing, ever growing. So it's all love.
So on the Hometown Hero song, you used the same beat for Cleo's. Was that all purposeful, or what was the process behind doing that?
Yeah, that's like it's like so marching and uplifting, right? So when Dan Gregory got shot,
Break that down real quick. Who's Dan Gregory?
I got this one.
okay,
Man, shout out my guy Dan Gregory. Dan Gregory is the Hometown Hero.
I'm here with Dan Gregory.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
Hell yeah. So Marshall and the band speak very highly of you, but it's always cool to see the firsthand perspective. So let's talk about Chaz and Chop. What happened to you then?
The day I got shot.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I woke up that morning, a Sunday morning, and I was like, I can't go to work today. I need to go to the protest. I need to go to the protest. I went to the protest around like 3:30 with my roommates, and kind of surveying the area, walking around. I knew something went right. You could feel the energy. The message kind of like left. People were going there just to be there. People were going there drinking and smoking, having a good time. Like that's not why we're out here. We're out here because we're dying. We're getting killed every day. My mindset is to protect people. That's my mind. My dad was a Baltimore City police officer for 22 years. My mom was a Marine. I knew to look for body language that day. So I'm walking around the park looking for, like, seeing what's going on. People wearing all black. I'm looking in the eyes, making eye contact with people. Like, I'm watching you. You know what I mean? I know what's going on. So I'm walking around the park. One of my other friends called me and said, "Hey, lunch. Are you hungry? Come eat lunch." All right, I'll go eat lunch. Now I'm eating a hot dog, and I hear, "Ah!" Like I can't scream. Like I hear, "Ah! Stop!" Like I look over at the corner where martial law was playing, and coming from the opposite side of martial law was a car, black car, like hitting that corner hard, right? Barely missing people. I said, "Oh no!" I said, I had my hot dog in my hand. I said, "Oh no!" I gotta drop this hot dog, and either way, I gotta start running. I gotta run somewhere. So I had it was crazy because my friend, she starts running down the street because she knew what was about to happen. That was my first time. Second time, his window was being down. His window was being completely down. Everybody saying, "Stop! Throwing stuff at him, trying to get him to stop." So he's coming up on me like I'm halfway down the block. As Peggy takes off running, medic. Like I'm like still for a second, and then I was like, something in my head said, "Don't let that car hit my people." It wasn't me saying that. Something in my head said, "Don't let that car hit my people." Right? He goes past, and my heart was like, "Go, go." Running behind him, running, as fast as I can, running. Get to him. I'm like, stop. And I move my feet as fast as I can. Grab the steering wheel. Like, I catch him twice. I catch him the first time, that's off camera. I catch him off camera. Stop, grab the wheel, and yank it to the right. And in my head, there was somebody on the right side of the car trying to stop him. But there was nobody over there. So in my head, somebody's over there, so I yanked it left. I didn't want the car to hit nobody, so it jerks, and it almost hit me. It almost like you know what I mean? Like it jerked, like oh no, So as it jerks left, he hits the gas, and he starts going a little bit faster. Now my arms are getting kind of like he's about to pull. You know what I mean? So let go. Meanwhile, I'm still like running. The car gets in front of me. Then I had an option in my head. I had a fork in the road. It was like, okay, I can stop now, or I can continue to fight and protect these people because This is all slow motion in my head. This is all slow motion in my head at this point. I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm not gonna look at the stop option. I'm gonna keep fighting. So I'm gonna go, run. And I get to him. So I grab him, I hit him like that, hit him hard, like, boom, right? I try to knock him out so I can grab him out the car. But I hit him and then I grabbed him. As I grabbed him, he turned away. As I grabbed him, he turned away. And then when he turned, I moved. Whoop! He turned, went that way, and I went the other way. And next thing you know, I had pop, boom. I remember getting shot, but not knowing I got shot in that. Like not knowing, is that way to get shot? Then I started smelling the
Gunpowder.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I did get shot. So I knew, lay down and don't move, because years and years ago, my cousin got shot right here, and the bullet moved through his system and killed him. I got shot in the arm, but it felt like it was right here. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh no, I gotta lay down now. So I lay down, and the medics is right there. But I was like, it still ain't right, because the car door is still closed. You still in the damn car. You ain't get out the car yet. So you can see the video. I'm like this. We get the car real quick. Oh no! Saw the car door still closed. I'm like, okay, he's gonna go. You know how they do it, moving and shoot off real quick. I said, oh no, he's about to come finish me off. So I just lay my head back and close my eyes and start praying. And then I'm still alive? Like what? And then the car door is open at that point. So I'm listening for gunshots. But everybody's all panicking, ran all everywhere. So no gunshot. Yes. I got shot, but nobody got hurt. I won that shit. I won that because nobody got hurt. Like I knew nobody got hurt. Like I knew I was the only one that got hurt, because one, he shot me. He didn't run over nobody else. He got in the car. I didn't know he had no more gunshots. So we're good, right?
The day before Dan Gregory got shot at the Chop for stopping a car from driving into a crowd full of people, he came up and asked if he could speak on the microphone. And at that point, we were like, shit, anybody can speak on the microphone.
Please, David.
And he came up and he gave this speech about how he loved seeing all the community and the unity and the empowerment and the energy. And he wanted to see that same energy when it came time to vote. He wanted to see people throw big parties and take the day off and go down and vote and then celebrate it. He thought it should be a national holiday. And I can't disagree with the man. And so he gives this powerful speech and tells everybody, he loves everyone and wants to spread the love and like go out and vote and take that same energy you feel right now after seeing these guys play and go out there and vote. And then he walked off the stage. The next day, a car runs through 2 barricades we had set up, and then at a crowd full of people, and this man ran down the street and yanked the wheel to stop him from running into a crowd full of people. Caught one in the shoulder, can no longer put his hand over his head.
Who shot him?
Oh boy.
Was it someone in the car or in the crowd?
The guy in the car drove into a crowd.
Got out of the car, he had nothing in the car except a gun, shot Dan, walked around the car, walked up to the police line. They graciously walked him in as he handed his gun over, and they just tucked him right away.
His brother's a Seattle police officer.
Forcefully manhandled in any way, shape, or form after having shot someone on camera from 77 angles. And this man was graciously walked around. I'm like, if this guy can do that, why are black people getting killed at traffic stops?
So
then Dan, from there, man gets shot. Next thing you know, people are sprinting out. It's like a pandemonium situation and people are running out screaming, he's got like an automatic weapon, like people, and I'm thinking this is like a Charleston type mass shooting situation. And so we're on the mic, telling people, hey, breathe, calm down, don't run, don't panic, get somewhere safe. Meanwhile, and like we said, there's a barricade set up over here, another barricade that never really gets talked about. So the police can't just come right down. So they took a very long loop and then came down this way. Which street is this?
That's 11th.
That's 11th. They're coming down 11th.
In downtown Seattle.
Yeah, and so 11th and Pine now.
Which is
where we were set up. On
11th and Pike.
And Pike, yes.
Which is where we were set up. They're on the opposite side of the same corner.
So they come wheeling up deep on bikes ambulance and a fire truck in front of the ambulance. And so I'm on the mic talking to the people like, yo, move the fire truck so the ambulance can come in there. And the police chief or
said
whoever,
that they didn't feel safe to come into the crowd to get the victim, which we didn't know was Dan at this point.
we think it's mass.
Meanwhile, the day before, they marched right through in front of the stage with tanks and bike cops and cops fully dressed in riot gear looking like stormtroopers walking too deep. One of the cops dropped a flashbang grenade on the ground, had to bend down and pick it up. And these guys are parading this right in front of our stage. I'm in the footage. And yet the same cops don't feel comfortable when there's a victim to come and get him. They made us carry this man with a gunshot wound a block away.
Yelling, medics,
before
go
they
get
would
him.
see him because they didn't feel safe to come into the crowd, but they felt safe to come in the crowd when no one was injured.
So the medics go and get Dan. And at this time, everyone's just like, real shook. I'm just telling everybody, breathe. These are the type of things that we're here to fight against. These are the type of things that happen at protest. And every time you step out your door to come to one of these things, it is life or death. But every time you step out your door as a black or brown person,
It's the same fucking
thing.
way.
Same thing. So breathe and calm down, because you can't be yelling Black Lives Matter and then skirt off when we need you. We need you here now. So everybody just calm down and do what you got to do to process this. So then meanwhile, it's like a crisis mitigation situation. So I'm hopping down to go talk directly with the police officer. Like, we don't know what's going in there. It's a car. Does it have a bomb in it? Who knows, right? And so he's negotiating like, yo, we got to get in there to tow it out. I'm like, man, after what just happened, if all your police officers come in here, it's going to be problems. Y'all can't come in here. And I didn't want them, doing something funny to it. So I said, look, we'll push this thing out. So we sent the word, boom, they're pushing the thing out. They're taking a little peek ski, whatever, and push the thing out. And then we push it all the way out, and the police tow it, and then they leave. And as soon as that happens, while Dan Gregory was walking out, meanwhile, I didn't even make the connection that this was the man who spoke on our stage the day before. But I asked him, I said, hey, black man. I said, would you do it again, black man? And he put his fist, because he shot his right arm. So
Shot him in the right arm.
Yeah, so he had to throw his left up. He had a lefty with it. He put his fist up, and the crowd just went crazy, and we just started playing music and let people know, like, dog, it doesn't matter what they try to do to break us. Like, we going to be right here. And this is...
That's when we played Black Lives Matter. Evan Robertson, our bass player, wrote this riff.
Big Pink.
Right before we went out.
Big Pink.
Right before we went out to the chop, and he was like, just slapped it, and JMO started singing, and thus became Black Lives Matter.
That's what. So then Dan Gregory earned his right to just here go your time, Big G, big Dan G. What say what you want, and that's what he came up with it. And
How hard was it to get him on the album?
He's our homie. Yeah, we just hit him.
Came there 30 minutes.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah,
he's like, bet I'm on the way.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's the bro, man. He actually found out he hoops with some homies. I know my bro Butter, who's the Mill Creek mayor. You feel me? Butter Brown. They actually were homies. Because at first, honestly, I was going through a lot during the time. I didn't know what to think when anything happens. I think it's some sort of wild, situation. But then once Butter was like, yeah, I hoop with Big Dan. I was like, oh, okay, it's not funny business. Like, my dude really chased down the car as a hometown hero. So yeah, we had to put him on.
Damn. So another song is Ain't Enough, correct?
Yeah, that's what's up.
So when we were talking on our previous podcast episode together, you said something about going to college for politics.
Yeah.
And then in this song, you're saying politicians cause pain.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the connection between you going to school and doing this song? Do you hate that part of you that went to school to become a politician, or do you use that to inspire music?
I mean, to be honest, I was a history and public policy major, yes, correct. But I was a hooper and a football player and an athlete before I even thought of being a rapper or being a politician. If you would have talked to me when I was 19, I'm like, yo, I'm about to just chop at D3, go crazy, maybe come back, transfer to WSU, you know what I'm saying, get a bucket. So originally that was kind of my thought. Then as I started to settle down, I'm like, yo, I'm at a great institution and I should take full advantage of a Carnegie Mellon history and public policy. Let me really lock in. I started doing research and actually getting educated on the subject, doing summer internships. But then when I started peeping game, right, and simultaneously I'm rapping. So I'm seeing the power of my words over here, and I'm seeing the pace at which a political career occurs, and I'm also seeing how stringent it is within the system. It goes back to the system, similar to like we talked about with the police officers. If I'm working within the confines of these systems, I don't believe that I'm going to be able to spark a grassroots movement that can be flexible, that can be like water, and can actually affect the people on a way. If I'm over here speaking only in the academia dialect, now I'm cutting off the masses that I know I'm of, and that I love and respect, the common folk, and not people that lord education over common people as if because they have this access, they're suddenly smarter, more capable. Anybody can come from any situation. A piece of paper does not prove that you can change the world. And so I just viewed music as a more effective way, and that's why I left, because I got an internship at Cube 93.
Hell yeah.
Summer internship after my sophomore year, and I was already rapping, I was seeing what it was doing, and I was like, deuce. Just big time deuce.
I actually used to work for the Senate Finance Committee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was blessed at a young age. My government professor, vouched for me and got me a job working and interning for them. And I saw how our government ran. I filed the paperwork for it, and I met men who made decisions that affected mass amounts of people. And growing up and sponging up game from them for 2 years was amazing. But after I saw how corrupt politics is, I saw a few things that I didn't think were right and didn't sit right with me, and I watched how those people voted on those issues, and on the things that didn't sit right with me were like swing votes. And watching things swing based on other things I saw, I was like, it's corrupt from the ground up. The only way to make a change is to go against it, and the only thing that goes against it with a message that I believe can be received and effective is music and love. Everything else that has ever tried to go against the system has failed brutally, because how do you outgun the guns?
For sure. Well, are you guys still pretty political at all, or do you kind of, I feel like this whole election that's coming up has made everyone pretty political, but besides this...
Hopefully they're just as political in 4 years, right?
Yeah.
People want to say our vote matters, there's more than 2 candidates on the ticket. If we get 5% of the vote in a third party, then the next election, the third party would get federal funding, and you would see an even campaign and a 3-way split, and it would no longer be both sides of the fence.
I think we got to get rid of the bipartisan system. I think that we have to evaluate the way that it looks, and I do feel like we're definitely super, radicalized and charged up and political, but I think that we found a role in a lane within that, and that's exciting. Because now I don't feel radicalized with no outlet, as if I'm helpless and all I can do is maybe go march, and all I can do is maybe take out my pain on somebody near me because I don't know how to direct it. Instead, I can channel it into something positive, and that is where I'm finding my solace and role within the movement. I feel like each person has to do that within their passion too. So definitely, I'm a vote. And I'm going to encourage other people to vote. I'm going to read through, get educated on the issues, but I'm going to also just keep making bangers with the bros that inspire people to go and do just that, and try to be an embodiment of the lyrics that I hope to become,
For sure. The last song I want to break down is Black and Proud, of course. I feel like everything that's going on, like we said in the beginning of the interview, is the same. They're like repeating themselves, And from the video itself and the whole theme, I relate this back to the 70s, because it definitely had the 70s vibe. We had James Brown, who actually had the Black and Proud song. Did you guys get inspiration from him?
Absolutely. It's our ode to the Godfather. Okay. Hardest working man in show business.
Then we got Gil Scott-Heron. We got Curtis Mayfield. And the one thing that it's not something I'm worried about, I just want to know how you guys are going to deal with this, is we're looking back, that's 50 years ago now, the 70s, and we're still dealing with the same issues. How do you make sure that an album like 12th and Pine doesn't turn into another Gil Scott-Heron type album, and we're just stuck in the same boat in another 50 years.
Wow. I mean, it's so powerful because those are my idols. So when you say, oh, I don't want it to turn out like that, it's not being critical because those are super impactful albums. But we're picking up the baton from where they left off, and we're going to run with this type of music even further. And that's what my hope is that we even just move the notch in the next band. Here's our music. And hopefully they're rapping about a whole different situation and a different set of problems, and they can say that progress was made. Because yes, we're wearing 70 clothes to show people I'm dealing with the same thing my uncles dealt with. I'm dealing with the same things, my older cousins that were really part of the movement and on all type of watch lists and stuff that call me and they say, hey, there's no trouble like good trouble. Like, we see you out here in the movement. I'm fighting the same battle they did. But their works and their efforts do put me in a better position to navigate it in a interesting way, in a different way, in a creative way. So it would be remiss of me not to appreciate those stepping stones that those albums that you just mentioned and those songs that you just mentioned created for a band like Martial Law Band. But even in the name, you hear it, Martial Law Band is 4 years in the making, these type of things. It's our time to push this thing and bust it open. And because we're so multicultural, because we are genre-less, because we're capable of talking to any type of people, we're in a unique position to do that, and we're not shying away from that situation. So it's all gas.
I think also people may not know, people forget, people judge a lot of books by their cover, but when Marshall and I walk out of the house, people don't ask us, oh, how black are you? Is one of your parents white? I'm like, does that make it better? Does it make it more acceptable? And here we are, like you're saying, referring to the 70s, but like in the 70s, interracial relationships were frowned upon and faux pas. So are we making change? Yes. Is it slower than we'd like? Absolutely. But it's progressing from black people not being allowed to play music in venues to us owning the only venue in the city that's allowed to play music. And so to see it go, and we've played every venue in the city we could get, but Showbox Market, holla at us.
Oh, that's right. We just pulled up on you.
But we have played all these venues and really don't make a lot of money. But at least we're allowed to play. And before us, things like the Fillmore weren't allowed to be played in by black artists. And
they had to go play the Boom Boom Room, which is where our first show was in San Francisco.
Is it easier for you guys to get booked at venues in Seattle because you guys are a band versus trying to be like a hip-hop artist trying to get a spot on a show?
Yes and no. Yes, because we are our band, and that is because all of us have played in 100 different bands in the city. And so we've built relationships and networks and rapport with people. But it took years of grunting to get to a point where now, yes, we get good gigs, but it's because we put in the legwork.
When venues do open back up, do you think they're going to be changing the perspective on how artists show up to venues? Like when I was talking to Shamel during her interview, who's also featured on one of your guys' songs, her relationship with venues was very dark, and she was kind of very upset with them. Do you feel like this coronavirus is going to change the venue's perspective once this hopefully ends?
Are you asking me as an artist, or are you asking me as a businessman? Because my opinions are different.
Do both.
As an artist, I think we have to, for sure, demand a little more when we bring a little more. I think it's a sliding scale. I've been to shows for the homies who didn't do any promotion, but I tried to support, and, it's kind of a dead show. But when you put the legwork in, people come. So, like, if you're bringing sold-out shows, you need to be getting compensated. If you're bringing 20 heads in the door and a $150 bar tab for the night, like, you got to understand that you're not going to get paid big bucks. That being said, as a business owner, I'm like, I'm not making that much money because paying my taxes for this property, paying for the liquor license, paying for my liquor inventory, paying for all my employees, my security staff, and then now you're telling me I'm only allowed to have half as many people in my venue? which means half the liquor sales, half the ticket sales, half the occupancy in this huge space.
A lot more precautions too.
A lot more precautions, extra expenditures, and how are you going to survive as a business?
I think that's important for artists to hear that
And
perspective.
so, here's my thing, and this is where I jump in, and this is where my passion has sparked discussion in the past about this. But, you know, again, I'm trying to do reflection. I'm trying to grow. It's a symbiotic relationship. We all need each other, yes. But here's the thing. The creatives are the ones doing a lot of the innovation, like he said. For example, us and our band, we weren't getting booked places, so we created Culture Fest with other creatives, and then Martial Law Band headlined Culture Fest, and then we all of a sudden started getting booked places. You know, we didn't make a lot of money when we worked with venues to try to do these creative things, but when we worked with LTD Bar and brought our own sound, we actually made some money, right? And it's a situation where we have to create a culture of innovation in order to get people to come out and be good. So the venues, in my opinion, need to work hand in hand with the creatives to create a culture of innovation. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to create this awesome, cool Emerald City Gala, beautiful thing that's, you know, regarded as one of the best events, and we're picking up the red carpets ourselves and driving all around town, paying the artists out of our own pocket, these type of things, you know, to go around and not have legitimate like ownership and stake within the Seattle arts community. You know, where are the black owners? Where are the people where they need creative marketing for their venue to work hand in hand with the artists to get people to come because, you know, maybe their social media isn't popping? Why don't you employ one of the artists to do your social media and we get it booming together? Because once the art scene is booming and there's enough fans out here, then we're all eating and we can do that. But from my perspective, you know, we put 30, 40 rappers on the same bill in Splash Fest, no problems. What are the venues doing specifically to foster that type of black art and creativity in Seattle? What specific programs are you doing to make it so people can come to a concert, be safe if that's what you're worrying about? What are you going to do to champion these people when you posted Black Lives Matter? And what type of structural changes are you going to make in this industry? Because the same things that they're talking about cannabis, the industry in Seattle and the equity, those are the same problems that exist in the music industry. And we need black ownership, and we need it to be addressed by the white people that are in power, and they need to be held accountable for it, just like we're held accountable for things that happen out here. And when our finances don't work, we're digging in our own pocket and paying people out. You know what I mean? But if this don't line up out here and the transparency is there, we need to get it figured out. And so I want to be empathetic for business owners. I don't want to bring anybody down, but every other business is being restructured to stand true to the creeds that they said that Black Lives Mattered on their Instagram posts. What does that mean structurally, and how do I hold you accountable, and what is the transparency process? And that's what I'm asking for. And I want to work hand in hand with it, because if they're getting big money to get bailed out and get restarted up, then I think the artists that are creating innovative ways to make the scene poppin', and since it's a symbiotic relationship, we need each other, should be involved in where that money is going, who that money is going to, and what's the decision-making process of this venue getting this venue getting that, and where's the accountability for factoring in why they're getting that money.
Mm-hmm. So on YouTube, your guys' song Head Nod, the title was Head Nod Phase 1. So does this mean this is your debut album, 12th and Pine? Does that count as Phase 2, or what was the process by calling it Phase 1?
To be honest, I think I had some sort. It was one of my schemes. Not every scheme's gonna work out. You feel me? I remember because I was really big at the time. I was really big into Instagram grids. Mm-hmm. So I was like, my Insta, when I want people to look at it, I want to be so clean. So when we released that video, I cut it into 3 different chunks myself, and I did I went on Canva and I wrote phase, put it different letters all across in the 3, and then I made that as the cover photo. And I remember there's this little black part. If you go back and look at it, it was driving me crazy. Should I delete it or should I recenter it?
I was like, dude, just chill out.
Shout out Canva, though.
Right? Canva saved my life many a times. I still use it when he called, So what we were going to do is that was going to be Phase 1, and then because I think that was right after the Hip Opera and all these other shows, or that was right before the Hip Opera. And and all these shows. And then we were going to do the hip hop, that was going to be phase 2. And then phase 3, I don't know, it's going to be world education or something like that. I don't know what it was, phase 3 was going to be. But yeah, that was just something that probably should be edited now that I think about it on the, on the YouTube. Caleb,
Caleb, go ahead and handle that one, bud.
Or I hit you up yesterday and found your alter ego.
No, that was tight, bro. That's pretty sick. Yeah, man. That's pretty cool because that's the same band.
You were deep.
He went deep and he found it. That's with the same band minus Matt. And so when like I first started, nah, he's just on Marshall Monk. Yeah. So,
I listened to your album. You have an album on Spotify under Marshall Monk too.
Yeah. That's banging out. Yeah.
Creek slap.
I was just talking about that the other day, and I went back and listened to it because I was in an interview, and the guy, he was talking to me about it too, and he was like, "Why, like, don't you have any other music? Or like, you feel like you came out of nowhere?" I'm like, buddy, if you only knew how many mixtape, how many projects, how many times I switched my name, how many times it was this, how many times it was that. But the creativity was always there, For that Mill Creek album, we did a laser show, a custom-made laser show at the Pacific Science Center.
Holy shit.
First artist to do that, coming out coming out the city. Wow. And that was like, I feel like I've been pushing innovation with crazy ideas from the get-go, and it's like I almost have to just like keep one-upping them over and over again and be on the news over and over again. And finally we got this album. It's like, dog, I'm trying to bust this thing wide open, you feel me? And I've been on that tip for like 7 years.
Everybody
hustling.
keeps asking us if we were going to go to LA. You guys want to move to LA? Like, that's the first question. I'm like, no. We're all very happy living here in the Northwest. That's why we live here in the
hard
Northwest.
on work in this city?
Yeah,
Come
what the
on.
hell? You basically I don't think people get that you like basically restart when you move to another city also.
Yeah.
And there's so many other dope people. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We're not the only dope people in the world at what we do. Out here, we can make a lot of noise because now we're competing against other people that take it, like we take this thing serious as a heart attack. You feel me, family? So unless you're taking this thing super, super serious, it's not like you were really doing the same thing. But there are a handful of artists, maybe 100, maybe 300 is the number, maybe it's 500 in the Seattle area that are like really gung-ho about that. You could probably say the same thing about podcasters or videographers that are like, yo, I'm about this.
This is what I do.
Once you make that level of commitment, now you start entering into a different pool of, okay, how do you make your product and everything, get distinguished and stand
And better
out.
connections too also.
Yeah, exactly. And you start meeting and rubbing elbows with other people that are also do it professionally, right? But then when you go to LA, there are probably 10,000 people that really also do this thing seriously, really also get after it, And so I think it's a diluted pool, at least a little bit for me, and it's also full of temptation and whatnot. So, I actually spend a lot of time in LA, but I'll go out there, kick it, and then come back. I like having Seattle as a base, but if I had to choose, I would just always be on the road, to be honest.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't really have I don't need to be.
Seattle be home base, but
You feel me?
the road is where I belong.
I'm Gondro Alejandro, you feel me?
Hell yeah. So marketing-wise, what you guys did with the float, that was fucking nuts. How did you guys come up with that idea? And if people don't know, your album, what day is it today? It's October.
Today's Wednesday.
It hasn't even been a week
It hasn't even been a week yet.
You guys released it on Friday. October
23rd. October 23rd. Yep.
So it's been less than a week, and over the weekend they had a float that they created. So go dive into that.
We were sitting here. Right here, probably 2 weeks ago or less, maybe 10 days. And we were just talking about, because that's the thing that we keep having to do. You have to reinvent yourself at every single time. You have to continue to innovate. So once we had the album, we were all super jazzed. We're like, yo, people are going to love this album. We're like, how do we make sure that people hear this album? We believe in this so strong. How do we make sure? And we're thinking like, we got to play. We have to play. How do we play?
In the middle of a pandemic.
And we're all just like this. I was like,
we were like, what if we did like a drive-in movie theater and just played a show? And we're like, that's not cool enough.
Should we do a live stream? We're like, no, like you can't get a dub off that.
The Cure was dope.
The Cure was dope. Shout out Tane Jr. That would have been the way. I was actually thinking like, should we bring it back on the Cure? Like, that would get good engagement.
Then we thought about like, what if we just went and set up in a bunch of different neighborhoods, and then we were like, man, moving all that gear a bunch of times.
Like, oh my gosh, freezing out. and then so I was just like, you know what, like.
What if it was mobile?
They're like, what? They're like, oh, what are we gonna do? Just go around? I'm like, whatever, bro. I was like, watch. I'm about to give us a float. I was like, right, watch, bro. I'm about to give us a float.
I was like, because at first it was a flatbed. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Flatbed's not that cool, dude. And like, shit could fall off the side.
I called that guy Farmer John. So the plan was, I called Matt like frantic, right? This was like 6 days before the album drop. I'm like, bro, I got it. I called Farmer John, and he's gonna let us use his flatbed truck. So the plan was he's gonna drive. There's a 16 by 8 foot flatbed truck. We were gonna have 2 other cars packed with sound equipment.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we pulled up at a place, boom, it would be one person's job to set up the stage, and it would be one person's job to set up like the sound equipment and instruments. And then we would play real quick, and then we'd pack our stuff back up, get in the car, and go. And that's the plan I called Matt with. He's like, dude, I like how you're thinking, but, you know, don't be discouraged when it doesn't play out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, honestly, I'm just such an idea guy. I was sour piece. I'm like, all right, whatever, bro. You know, I'm like beefy, and I'm like, wait, I know somebody to call. And because of Splash Fest, the event that was, you know, for those of people that don't know, you know, Splash Fest was an event that we coordinated as a band, and we enlisted the help of all, like, tons of musicians that we know. We all
I made
came
hella
together.
connections from that. I wasn't even there, but I've still made tons of connections through that. I just look up that lineup sometimes. You're like, who do I want to reach out to next?
Oh my God. See, that's what I'm saying. We're the curators, bro. The people that are actually doing it, we are the curators of the culture that's going on, and it's really facts. So look, we're out there, and because of that, I'm like, how do I take Splash Fest to the next level? Because we were going to come off the 50-day national tour before COVID, and then we were going to come home from that like a mid-May, and it was going to, yeah, and then it was going to go boop, 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 right into Splash Fest. So I'm over here, I'm meeting with the Fremont Art Council. I'm calling the city. I'm like, how do I shut down this street? You know what I mean? I'm going to the board meetings with the Fremont Art Council. Me and my girl Sylvia, you know, this is back in like February, you know, and I'm meeting the people, and you know, they were being super receptive, they were being cool and stuff. They're like, wow, this guy's super gung-ho, but it's whatever, right? Then the pandemic hit, and you know, they were coming out and supporting us prior, like before we went on tour, we did like a release party, Hawaii EP release party.
Shout out to Indoor Sun Shop.
You know, and we always get down there at the Indoor Sun Shop in Fremont, but you know, they were coming to support whatever, but then COVID happened, and they were just like so remorseful and like, dang, I'm sorry that happened to y'all, because they had helped us with Emerald City Gala, making the stage for that as well. And then when I hit them with this idea, they were like, yo, we can make this happen.
We got this. Do it tomorrow.
When can you meet us at the junkyard? You feel me? When can you meet us at the junkyard? And we pulled up, Matt and I pulled up, me, Matt, Mercy, you know, it's midday 11. And we didn't know what to expect. Because, you know, in my head, I'm thinking they just got like a flatbed like my homies was. We pulled up, man, this thing is like a legit like boat, like it's a float. It got 2 layers, like it's got it's bigger than half the stages we played
21 feet long and 8 feet to the millimeter wide.
And we can set up the whole band in there. They got spaces for the generator. The Mercy and Matt, they're the handymen. They were just like refurbishing the
we demoed the whole back deck and rebuilt it.
And they worked right hand in hand with the Fremont Art Council and Let It Be Made, which is Lee Marie and Enrique. And then they brought in some of the other like members of the community, Farley, our friend Holly, and her homie Darcy, I believe. You know, pulled up and helped paint, make signs. Ayana, you know, another friend of the band, she pulled up to like, you know, help make signs. And so it just became a community effort out of nowhere. As soon as we seen it, we're like, yo, we can actually make this happen. This is insane. So we went and got, you know, trip permit, you know, went and got lights, all types of crazy stuff. And
just made it happen.
And you had great weather the entire time too.
Come on, I'm telling you,
man. We
come
had
on,
sunshine,
talk to
blue
the
skies,
kid.
man.
It was cold, no cap, but it was clear.
Cold.
When we pulled up on Golden Gardens, it was beautiful, sunset, everything was amazing. But I'm not gonna lie, it was like 25 degrees. I couldn't believe all those people were out there side their whip.
I was like, yo, what is happening out here? It's so cold.
I was so cold.
We had layers on. Everybody had hand warmers. It was still.
I had hand warmers in my glove,
cold.
like tucked in, like right here, and just hold my face.
So if you guys have each one word to describe this album, what would you use? Start with you, Matt.
Revolutionary.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with truth.
Hashtag real news.
Yeah. REAL. That one's a real one.
You guys want to do some thank yous?
Man, started Captain Jack.
Captain Jack and Dino, the Seattle legend, worked with Nirvana, Soundgarden, everybody. He said that we're smack dab in the middle of a new Seattle wave. That's what he said. So, once you get him blessings, then it's just time to take off. So shout out Captain Jack. Then let's just go down the album feature-wise.
Randy,
my pops. He's featured on Mercy. He goes, well, tell him, son. He's out here. He's been such an incredible guidance and figure, not only for me but for the whole band, and he's stepping up for our community as an elder and giving us some direction and some much needed business savvy and some accountability.
Also some clout when it comes to business conversations with other people. Just having someone who's 30, 20, 15, 10 years older than you, it helps along the way. So when I walk into a meeting, it helps. When he walks into a meeting with us, it helps. And shout out our guy Chuck, got us started. He was the first one to believe in us, and when you bridge that gap, doors open that aren't accessible to other people.
Right. And then so going on that same trend of the elders, Fairy Vonmother, like we talked about, she's a mom to all of us. She's, we've all had powerful conversations with her, and she's sculpted our life. We met her through our photographer, James Gertie Got It, who just was working at the radio station, was like, yo, y'all two's vibes, y'all got to connect. You have to. And since then, it's been great synergy, and we have that motherly love, embracing us and the people that we're around, and it keeps us, leveled and centered. So Fairy Vonmother going crazy, and continually just brings power, brings truth, and a powerful female figure that we love amplifying any way we can. And all you gotta do is just step back, let her go, let her do her thing. She was just at the 150 day doing her thing. So it was big love to Fairy Vonmother.
Shout out to all the singers who came through in the choir for us.
Joie.
We got My Marie, Shayna Shepherd, Kaya, Nas,
Mo from Mo Jams, Poe from Poe Box, who also we were talking did security early on and stuff, and then we have our our rap features, which is Nobi.
One thing about Nobi,
yeah.
I think I met them through Gertie. We have so many of the same friends and acquaintances. It's just I can't recall exactly when I first met them. But before I had met them, it was we had kind of already known each other through social media, mutual friends, of mutual shows.
So what does this song Black and Proud mean to you?
To me, it's funny that you asked that. When they were recording the album, I knew me and Gertie are really close. So, Gertie was there every day filming and whatnot. And he would go film them, come to the studio where we were at and working on future project things, and would be like, yo, they're doing this and this and this with this guy, whoop, you got to get over there. And I was like, dang, I got to get over there. And then finally I just was like, fuck it, let's go. They were working on Black and Proud, and Marshall kind of gave me the concept and was talking about how they were really inspired by James Brown. So Say It Loud on Black and I'm Proud is a song about Black empowerment, right?
Oh yeah.
Kind of what it's like growing up as a Black man. And if you look at one of the original pressings for Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, on the inside is a charcoal sketch. I think it's a charcoal sketch of James Brown's face. And this was a record my grandfather played, you can tell he wore it out, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And it was very, very inspiring to me. And we used that as the basis for the cover of Fulminate.
Okay.
So already off top, I was like, bro, this is one of the most inspirational songs ever to me.
Wow.
And we based the album cover on it. Shout out to Beeline Dot. He's the one that did the cover for us. And so he was like, yeah, is that kind of a vibe you resonate with? And I was like, of course, first of all, I'm Black, I'm proud. And I just wrote an album that's kind of based around that same thing. So went to the studio, sat in there for a good hour, 2 hours, wrote the verse, knocked it out. And the rest is kind of history from there.
So he released his album June.
Fulminate.
Yeah. Is that one reason why you guys had him on the project? I took time to listen. When I say I did research on this project that we're doing right now,
we put a lot of thought into this project.
So, Fulminate, insane album.
Yes.
Insane album.
Is that so? You guys, because of that album, if he hadn't put out that
Absolutely.
album, do you think you would have had him on?
So here was the craziest thing. I mean, yeah, because
Yeah,
one,
absolutely.
Nobi has already
He's-
been like, we've been a
on
collaborator.
the
He was in our
tracks.
hip opera. So 2000 or late 2017, right before 2018, in November, Nobi was like a main feature as one of the artists, in the hip opera. Him and I did like an acting scene together, did a song, So it's like we've always been homies. He was up there on the Emerald City Gala. Like we've played probably 10, 15 shows with Nobi, and probably kicked it with him outside of that a bunch of times, studio sessions and just video game type stuff.
Hell yeah.
So Nobi's always gonna get the call, you feel me? But
Because he
once
always comes with that.
and we know he's gonna come with heat. So once I got shown his project by Gertie again. Gertie's a connector. He also works hand in hand, shot their Entity video.
with the homegirls from Moonbloom.
Yep,
The
and
flower-
digital's
all
on the
flowers
beat.
and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So, we're all interconnected a lot in Seattle, right? And so we made our album. And then on the way back, Gertie showed me Nobi's album.
Insane.
And I was like, oh, wait, see, that's the standard that's out there. Like, that's heat. I was like, I think we got gas too. Like, between these, like, okay. And then, so what happened was, Gertie said, like, yo, I gotta go do some work with Nobi, this, and that. And I told him, I was like, bruh, tell him to slide through the studio. And then when I said that in my head, I'm like, if Nobi, like, last minute kind of, like, frees up his schedule because he knows, like, how important this is and just, like, creative, like, he's getting a feature, absolutely. Next thing you know, like it was probably 3 minutes later, he's like, yo, Nobi said like he has to be there. He's gonna be there.
He's a
And I was
busy
like,
guy, too.
Yeah, I mean, come on, he's out here making albums like Fulminating, crazy videos like Entity, New Change. Like
New
he's a
Change,
real
dope.
creative. He's like what we talked about here, someone who's 100% bought in through and throughout. And so for him to drop everything,
Packing shows, too.
he understands that this is the severity of the moment was communicated by his urgency to get there. And that's why I was like, yep, that stamped it for me.
Yeah.
I knew bro was about it, go crazy. And he just paced in that room. We got one of the un bien sandwiches smacking.
Came back, he was like, yep.
Walking around. And it took him some time, but because he was really working, he was like, yo, I think I did justice, bro. He's like, I think I got y'all. And once we heard it, we were just like, yo, like.
And that's the Black and Proud song.
Yeah.
If you wanna hear it.
We were all geeked up, just yo,
Yo,
it went off. And so Nobi's by far one of my favorite artists in Seattle, and a friend, and just somebody we're always gonna call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That boy's DH.
What is some final words that you guys have for the Seattle music scene?
Oh yeah, it's coming, baby.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
We got you.
Keep
We gonna
blazing the
bust this
trail.
thing all the way open, and it's gonna be connected. It's gonna be right. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you look back in my recollection or knowledge, but from the get-go, our whole thing has been busting that thing open and showing people that we can be a powerhouse music scene. We can work together as a scene, and as a result, the money that's out here, whether it be corporate Amazon money and everything else, is going to start funneling into these shows, but we have to create a better product. And so we're creating that product, and that comes from the top, bottom, everywhere, all sides, and it's time to just bust it open. And the people that want to be collaborative are going to be collaborative. The people that want to, stay locked in the studio, do their thing, work with their select people and all that, that's cool too. It takes all types, just like it does for this revolution. That's what it's going to take for the Seattle music scene. All types of people. The people that go over here and, disrupt traffic. Within the people that go over here and do the graffiti. The people that, we were with the dude yesterday, he was going crazy flyering. Like, that was his thing. Like, he really put up probably 500 flyers walking on this thing. And it was just boop, 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 boop. And we're like, hey, man, would you want a job to whoa, you want a flyer? He's like, I don't accept money for this. I'm like, hey, Cuddy passion.
It's like a therapeutic thing for Cuddy. He just needs to go flyer.
Pow, so it's in people's soul out here, and we want this music to be there. We want the Seattle music scene to have the confidence and the audacity to say, like, I believe that we can be Nashville. I believe that we can be Austin in these scenes, that musicians can make a living here and be treated with respect and like a vital part of the town, because we are. And so we're proving our worth by going on this SS Jelly Bean, because you should see how many people are smiling, like filming us from high rise, like going crazy.
After every set, I get at least 2 people coming up to me. Thank you so much. I haven't seen live music since March.
It is as powerful as we thought it was, And so it's time for every Seattle creative to believe in themselves and to go. You don't got to align yourselves with us. You don't got to align yourself with whatever you do, and we'll meet. But go crazy, you know, because the attention's coming. The wave's coming back to the city. And just like it did for the grunge movement, you're going to see 30, 40 Seattle artists really bully up in the industry and bring the Seattle sound to the world. And, you know, we're going to be around for that for sure, man. That sounds like a party, buddy.
Well, this is the NAST Podcast with
Marshall
and
Matt.
And you guys are part of the
Martial Law Band. Oh,
hell yeah. There we go.
Clean. Made for this.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I tell you, one take, Jake.
One take. Yeah.
Hello, Marty,
How's it going?
also known as Metal Marty.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have to go over a nickname. How'd you get it?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I just am a huge fan of metal. Always listening to metal. Always rocking my metal tees on stage. So came pretty easily, and you know, little what's the word? Not alliteration. Never mind. I'm gonna go
No worries, man.
into that.
So, what does this album, 12th and Pine, mean to you?
It's in a sense a concept album, I guess, which is really cool because I'm always a big fan of concept albums. Just about our experience being on 12th and Pine during the protests, and just being a part of that movement, and getting to experience that firsthand. And it helped us process that, and you know, put out in our creative outlet how we felt about being a part of that. And it just allowed us to take that energy and put it into a product, a piece of art, which is incredible.
Hell yeah.
Super cool thing to be a part of.
I feel like it's like a therapeutic album for you guys for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Hell yeah.
Massively.
So, what are your goals with this album?
I mean, first and foremost is just to get that message as far and wide as we possibly can. That's, I mean, this band's always been first thing, pushing that message, pushing positivity, and then behind those goals, you know, obviously we want to grow our fan base. We want to get those streams up, get those views up, and then hopefully be able to, you know, COVID pending, get out on the road and actually physically spread that message out to the rest of the nation, maybe even other nations.
Hell yeah. And shout out to the SS Jelly Bean for now, though.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's been a blast.
So, what is your favorite martial law band memory?
Favorite martial law band memory? Oh. We've had a lot of good ones. I'm gonna go with our first show in San Francisco at the Boom Boom Room. It was our first like official tour, 10-day, 12-day West Coast tour, and that was our first out of town show where like we showed up out of town and people showed up for us, and that was just such a, like, to be out of your own city where you know for sure you've got your friends and family that are going to show up, and just fans in the city that are going to show up, and to see that happen in another city, the energy was just insane that night, and the reception was incredible. And we celebrated hard afterwards, and then drove overnight to LA. I drove overnight to LA. That part was less fun, but
The DD.
yes.
Hell yeah. So, Shred God, I'm loving your hair.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah.
The beard and the lovely locks. Amazing. How'd you get the name?
I like to play guitar fast. I think that's the main reason. Yeah.
Seems like everyone has some pretty crazy nicknames in the band.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, at least mine, I didn't come up with myself. That just
Damn,
Came along somehow. I don't know.
those are the best nicknames. So what is your goals with this album?
I mean, hopefully to impact some people. We're certainly talking a lot. Marshall, I should say, he's using his words more than any of us are. Certainly saying a lot. So, I mean, we can say all these things about hoping that it goes big and, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I hope it, like, actually can make some sort of social impact too, you know.
Mm-hmm. What does this album mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot of things, I guess. But I guess, like, to myself personally, being a part of this bigger picture, being, you know, the movement that's happening, and being on the right side of history, in a sense. Yeah.
For sure. What is your favorite martial law band memory?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of them, but, like, riding on the float over this past weekend was pretty crazy. Like, literally the first time we did it, we went only, like, a couple blocks, and we played, and we're like, every one of us were like, oh, that was so much fun. Matt, in particular, was like, guys, I already thought this would be cool. This is, like, way more cool than I thought it was going to be.
I saw it in person. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I don't know how we ended up making that happen, but it's cool.
Hell yeah. Big Pink. I think we needed some clarification. Why Big Pink?
Because I'm big and I'm pink. It's Zach or Mercy. He's the fellow that came up with that, and unfortunately it stuck. Now I kind of like it, but I hated him for a long time.
I saw on Instagram it used to be like Big Pink Dumbass or something crazy like that.
Yeah, all sorts of, yeah.
That's funny as fuck.
Lots of iterations of that. Yeah.
So, what are your goals with this album, 12th and Pine?
Just get it to as many people as possible, and hopefully get to travel and kind of tour with it as much as we can during times like this, you know. But yeah.
What does this album mean to you?
It's cool to be able to, like, you know, spread a positive message, and that's kind of like what this group has always been about. It's like, you know, the spread the love thing. So yeah, and supporting people that traditionally don't have as much support, you know, stuff like that.
For sure.
So, yeah.
What is your favorite martial law band memory?
Marshall and I used to kick a lot in the garage and just drink Rolling Rocks and, like, watch live hip hop concerts and stuff. That was always fun. Damn. Yeah, that's a hard one. There are a lot of good ones.
That sounds pretty dope though.
Yeah.
Mercy Lewis,
what's up?
AKA Zach. So how'd you get your nickname? Everyone has a nickname in the band, I guess.
Yeah, it's standard. You have to. They actually don't let you in until you get one.
Oh man.
No, it was actually like a solo project that I had that I was working on probably 2-3 years ago. Whatever. And Marshall heard it, and he just started calling me that instead of Zach, and I don't really blame him. It's more interesting. So then people just heard that, and it snowballed into nobody really knows what my real name is anymore. So that's fine. It's like I get an alter ego out of just having a solo project that didn't really get released.
Oh no.
So, well, I mean, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Is it out then, or is it?
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's
okay.
coming. Yeah. Kind of been waiting to have a bigger platform for it. So, like, dovetail that in behind everything. You know, that's my sneaky, sinister plan.
I feel. So what are your goals with this album, 12th and Pine?
Man, I mean, I guess there's kind of two answers to that. Like, coming into it, the goal was really just to put out everything that we'd experienced, felt. I mean, I'm sure, you know, what everybody else would say about it. Just sort of get that out and get that out there to the people that it resonates with, because so many other people had that same experience or similar, whether that's in Seattle or all around the world, in reference to the protests and the subject matter of the album. Going forward, goals with it, I mean, we really just want to try to expand the platform that we have to be able to sort of be a conduit for the movement, if that makes sense. You know, everything's a piece of it, right? But we feel like the more we can, you know, use this, speak the truths that we have, and express what we've felt, connect with people who felt the same, it all just sort of builds
for sure
to some sort of pinnacle. I don't know.
You guys are definitely a huge part of the Seattle movement, 100%.
Appreciate that. You know, that comes with not wanting to be like, hey, it's about us. You know, like, you become hesitant to say that. Because it's not. There's a small part of it. But I feel like the more we can do, the more we can push this out to as many people as possible, the more it shines a light. And I guess that's the overall goal.
What does this album mean to you?
Man, it means a lot. It means the culmination of a major effort on our part musically, and a real sprint to get this done. I know our producer said this was the fastest working band he'd worked with in 30-something years, and he's worked with a lot of people, so that was a huge compliment in a way. But it was, so I guess it's, in a way, personally, it just means like it's a culmination of all those efforts, and then, I hope that it means a lot to other people that listen to it, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's up to the listener.
For sure. What is your favorite martial law band memory?
I don't know. We've done some pretty weird stuff. The Emerald City Gala that we threw last year was an easy one to pick. That was just fun. It was a different kind of event. You don't see a lot of people around you in the scene, kind of dressed up, unless it's, like for a wedding or a funeral or something. So it was cool to just see everybody out there partying in their, rented tuxes or whatever. It was like going back to prom or something. That was just kind of fun. It was a good vibe.
That was awesome. Well, this is the NAST Podcast with
Mercy Lewis.
And you're part of
Martial Law Band.
Hell yeah. There we go.